Welcome back to Me on the Mic. After listening to his music, you'll want to close your eyes and listen on repeat. That's right, we're discussing Luke Hemmings. To start off with, um, his initial album was When Facing the Things We Turn Away From. So, do you want to start with your opinions or?
An unnecessarily long album title. Whenever I see the abbreviation, hold on, WFTTWTAF, my brain just reads it as like, what the f, like
Mine,
just a really long variation of WTF.
mine reads it as WTAF.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think his music for me is very like Sunday afternoon. It's quite chilled, laid back. Yes, the lyrics are a little bit deeper than like the sound, but I think it's like a really good album to throw on if you're doing basically anything. It's not too emotionally involved, it's not too loud and heavy, it's not too like headbangy or sobby. It's just a nice, peaceful, relaxing album. That being said, Baby Blue is a banger,
Mm,
and I love that song. If there
yes.
is any, like, if you ask me anything about Luke's solo stuff, Baby Blue is the song that I consistently go to. Um, that and oh, what's it called? What's it called? What's it called? Oh no, it's from Boy. We're not talking about that one yet. Anyways, so yeah, Baby Blue from that album is definitely my favorite. As for like least favorites, I don't really have any, but that's not because I'm a kiss ass. It's because I don't often listen to the album enough to be like, "Oh, I don't really like that song." They're all pretty level playing for me. They're all pretty good songs. Baby Blue stands out for me, but nothing stands out in like a bad way that I'm like, "Ugh, I don't really like that one." Which is, I would consider quite high praise, but then I'm
Yeah.
also aware that my lack of listening to it like all the time, like I'm sure if I listened to it way more than I do, I would probably find a song or two that I'm like, maybe not that one." But I like having the kind of ignorant bliss around the fact that like I have to be in a certain mood to put it on. And then I just enjoy it front to back and it's a great time.
Yeah,
I'm so naive.
exactly. Yeah, I was checking because I do have one, but it's not actually on this album. I have a song that I'm like, like it's fine, but it's not. Like I may skip it sometimes. Um, this one I really like starting line. I really like the video for one, but also there's something about the speed of it that just really that's quite good. Um, when he dedicated that song to Liam Payne after he passed, the first time he played it live after Liam Payne passed, that crushed me because I had never seen the song in that way. Like I knew what the themes were and I loosely was like, okay, like especially the line, I think I missed the gun at the starting line, that I always related to because I have felt like I mean, wasted potential is always one that I've really related to. But when he said that about Liam Payne, especially because they toured together, those two bands were really interconnected, it made the song not as like happy and carefree as it once was. Um, Saigon, I find very, very beautiful, very pretty. Like, I this one is, I get what you say about it being very casual listening, but yet, because like I'll put it on just casually when I'm cleaning or whatever, and yet I'll be thinking about it really deeply the entire time. Um,
Yeah.
which is really interesting because usually like the deeper thinking albums I don't want to put on when I'm doing something. I want to sit and think. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Like it's so easy to just throw on in the background of anything and not really like pay attention to, but it's got such a way of like making you pay attention anyway, even though his voice is so like peaceful and calming that you're just like, oh, like bliss. You're in heaven when you're listening to the album. There's just like a little nagging voice in the back of your head going, listen to the words. It's miserable, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. And I think like the actual title, as long as it is, I think it really does show the intention of the album. It's
Mhm.
you're looking at the things that you wouldn't usually look into. You're sort of digging deeper. I think the album title really reflects what the album sets out to do. And I also find like a lot of these deeper meanings really did like on the first listen and even still sometimes now really did make me think about things that I didn't realize. The song Mum is one that I remember listening to and being like, you know, when I started drinking and exploring some really dumb things when I was at university, like I did feel like really bad, and there was always that guilt of like, um, I should call mum and I should not do this, and then I didn't. So that is one that like even to this day, if I listen to it, I haven't done some of these dumb things in years, but I still like feel every bit of emotion within that song. I still very much feel like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Lovely.
Yeah, I do think when I saw him live in London and he subtle flex, I got invited to it. Um, and he played starting line at the end of the show. I just it just hit me like a bus and I just burst into tears. It was like kind of an amalgamation of pride because I just obviously I've seen this boy grow up into Luke Hemmings and watched him through the Five Sauce eras and then to have him like produce his own music and put that out into the world, stunning. So like a lot of it was pride of like, oh my God, I've grown up with this man and now here we are in the same room and I'm very emotional because I've been invited to this just because of the kind of content that I make. Um, Never in my life would I have ever thought that any one of any of their teams would have been interested in me attending, right?
Mm,
So that was quite an emotional thing, but it was also kind of in that moment, the lyrics really hit me as well. I already knew what the song was about. I'd already been listening to it, you know. I already knew it was about like missed opportunities and kind of the irresponsibility of avoiding things. But to have it like close out a show that was all about his life and then him singing one last song about how he hasn't faced the things he felt like he should have faced
mm,
was just like, whoa, like you've just sung a whole show about how you felt like you should have faced these things and how you have put yourself in a position in life that has got you to where you are because you didn't face these things.
yeah.
And yet there's still this kind of regret around maybe I should have done it sooner, maybe I should have done it differently, maybe I should have done it this way, maybe I should have done it that way, maybe if I hadn't have taken this thing or this class or learned this song, I wouldn't be where I am. And it's just like it just kind of built up to this like really peak moment in his show and it was just very emotionally intense and I just cried for like maybe 5 minutes straight and left just like after you have a good cry and you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
I was so energetic through that whole show, bawled my eyes out for 5 minutes and was like, cool, I can go for like a nap now.
Yeah. That's the thing I always say is that while some of Luke's solo stuff is the stuff that I played the most, I think live, I don't know if I'd even be able to buy the tickets because I just don't think I would survive. Whereas, like, I play side quest a lot less, but I feel like I'd probably go for the live experience because I know that like that would be more energetic and I wouldn't be like crying my eyes out. That being said, there's a time and place for like tears and shared tears live. Um, I just personally don't know if I could do it.
A
Yeah.
Luke show was a very nice show to have that shared experience with. I think because of the lyrics. it almost feels like he's there with you in the crowd, not
Mm,
necessarily like obviously he's singing about his life, but it doesn't feel like he's on stage singing at you because of how personal the songs are. It feels like you're all in this like group therapy session. It was
yeah.
yeah, it was very sweet, but yeah, the energy was not like your typical upbeat live show. It was very like, oh, let's all huddle together and have a little cry.
Yeah. And I would have loved that. Yeah. Um, I find Place in Me also very crushing because it's so much about like this distance and yet like it's kind of like this person is at this distance and yet you're always with me. You're always right there. And that is something that like the concept of that is very big in Kiwi culture of like no matter how far family and whānau may be, they're always in our heart, they're always there with us. Um, and that was like something that I've just never heard it sort of portrayed in that way. Um, I find it a very bittersweet song. Some days I can handle it, some days I can't. Um, and that's sort of how I feel about a lot of songs on this album. Um, like I don't really have a song that I can put above the rest or that I can put below the rest because it's all just like bittersweet and the same concepts I've thought about for a long time but never really quite knowing exactly how to word them. So,
Yeah, I find that with Baby Blue, I only put it above the others because I think it's the most like upbeat sounding one on the album. That it's got
mm,
this little like groove behind it that I just love it. Lyrically, would I put it above the others? No, I think they're all pretty on par with like beautiful lyrics. I just think that tick in the beat just slightly edges it above all the others for me, but not for any other real reason other than just I think it sounds cool. And
mm,
that's the thing is like about music in general is you don't have to have these like deep, intense, emotional feelings behind your favorite songs.
no,
I mean, for Christ's sake, I defend Don't Stop by Five Sauce on a daily basis. Is it
as you
objectively a bad
should.
song? It is objectively a bad song, but it sounds cool. It's a fun song, and I love it.
Yeah,
And that's
but it
well,
also
I was
like
gonna say that's how I feel about Baby Blue, but Baby Blue is definitely a better song than Don't Stop.
yeah, but songs can take on their own meaning because I mean even just going back to the example of Don't Stop, like it for me when I listen to that song, I now think of you because of your name on Twitter. In fact, in the script that I'm about to record after this, I talk about how the characters in Don't Stop still hold meaning and how some people still have it as their Twitter name. I'm fully shouting you out without being able to. Like, and I think that's also something that has happened within this body of work is that obviously Luke is very personally thinking about his mum, but I picture mine.
Hmm.
No one else who experiences that is going to be picturing the same woman. They're going to be picturing their own mum, probably. If
Yeah, like I don't sit there and listen to Luke Hemmings' song about his mum and think of his mum.
no, you're not
No,
going
no,
to.
girl.
No. I know her name because of like the early phase of Five Stars. She could walk past me on the street. I'm not going to know who that is. So I'm not going to sit there and think about like, you know, I highly doubt anyone is sitting there and thinking about Luke crying and pulling his phone out to text his mum. I'm sitting there thinking about a time I got so drunk that I started thinking about the fact that if mum was in the room watching me, she'd probably be able to hear my thoughts. Like, like that kind of drunk where you're like, everyone can hear my thoughts. And yeah,
Mhm.
but that's exactly what I mean is that music takes on its own meaning in your own life. Just like Starting Line for Luke is about all of those opportunities that he didn't take, or what if I went on this way in the path. For me, Starting Line is everyone else around me is running this race that I'm not sure I'm even crawling in because I'm just not doing the same thing. It's about the fact that everyone, I'm freshly 21 and everyone else I went to school with is they have a job, they're getting engaged, they're having kids, and I am not. I am not really even able to work due to factors outside of my control. And so it just isn't that's not going to be your story either. It's what I love about Luke's music is everyone has the same feeling, no one has the same scene that they're visualizing.
I do think, yeah, I think with Luke's writing as well, he says a lot of like, I feel like this. So when you're like singing along to it and you're saying the sentence like, I think I missed the gun at the starting line, he's not
Mm.
singing, I think you missed the gun, or you might think that you missed the gun. He's saying, I think I missed the gun. So when you're singing along to it and you're also saying, I think I missed the gun, it kind of forces you to think about your life and what you think that represents to you. Whether you're like intentionally thinking about it or not, it will inevitably pique some thoughts. And mine for sure is always going to be that I feel like I was really late into knowing what I wanted to do with my life.
Mm.
I've been doing photography now for like 6 years-ish. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Oh, I don't know. But I feel like I should have known that at least. I studied photography in secondary school when I was
Mm.
like pre-teen into mid-teen. I studied photography, and yet it never clicked that that was something I wanted to take seriously. And then into college when I was like 17, 18 years old, I studied media, which was all about music and photography and videography and stuff, and it still didn't really click to me that that was something I wanted to do. And then I worked in the real world for a few years, decided, "Oh, I don't know if this is for me. I feel like I could attempt university," and I did. But even then, that's another thing. I was considered a mature student at university because I wasn't freshly out of college when I went. Typically,
Yeah.
university, you start at 18. You go secondary school, college, university, back to back. I didn't do that. I took like 4 or 5 years in the real world and then went, oh, maybe I'll go to uni. So I was considered like an old student, and I started when I was like 23, 23 or 24 was when I started
Yeah.
university. So the fact that that age is considered old is wild to me anyway. And now I am a photographer and I've got my degree and like all this cool stuff is great. And I'm 27 and this is like fantastic. I
Oh yeah.
still feel like, yeah,
Ah,
I'm turning 28 this year. Ugh. But I feel
I
like I
didn't know.
should have known at least 5 years before I did that this was something I wanted to do. And then it makes me spiral of like, where would I be if I had known earlier?
Yeah,
Where would I be if I just started sooner?
exactly. Because for me, it's like starting line is crushing in a different way because it's not about not knowing. I have a really different story to a lot of people where I always knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And if my body would allow, I would be out there, I would be traveling, I would be doing more concert photography. A big reason why I'm doing the podcast, why I'm doing the magazine, and doing my own personal social media projects, I guess, around music and music marketing is because of the fact that I'm actually on the disability allowance. I can't do what a lot of other people can do, and it is quite crushing because I know exactly what I would do if I had the body strength to hold that much gear to tour. If I didn't have all of these other problems going on, I would be a touring photographer, but I can't. So I can do one-off shows. I can do all these other things. Um, and that's why I feel so behind because I'm like, the amount of days where I've been like, I wish I just wanted something different. Because if I wanted something that my body could do, I wouldn't be constantly chasing this dream that I can't have because of not because I'm not trying and not because people have told me no, but because I physically can't. Um, So I get what you mean. You know, some people spend their whole life trying to figure out what they want to do. Some people spend their whole lives trying to force their body to be able to do exactly what they know they want to do. And either way, everyone feels behind when in reality there are no rules about trying to hit those milestones.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, very
Yeah, like objectively, you don't have to start uni at 18.
no.
That's not a thing that you're like mandatory to do. You can go to uni whenever you want. There was someone in my course who was in his 40s who just started that course. But like you don't have to know what you want to do by age 16. You don't have to want to start uni by age 18. You don't want to have to, it's not forced upon you to be in your first more than minimum wage paying job by 21. Like, yeah, sure. Would my life be easier if I desired to work in retail or hospitality my whole life? Yeah, sure it would. Sure it would. But that's not what I want. And yet I'm in it and I hate it because it
Exactly.
takes so much of my time when I don't want to be doing that with my time. But I'm aware that I have to be able to afford the things that I do want to do. And it's just a vicious cycle. Luke Hemmings, what the hell?
Music that honestly, I don't know if it's a music video or visualizer actually now that I think about it, but the visuals for motion are so amazing. Like I love putting it on the TV because without fail, every single time, at least one of my family members are like, "Why is the TV broken? It's glitching," and it's hilarious. Um, Motion is also one that I snuck on. So I did a video edit for a church event with the kids, but I knew what time we'd be packing up, and I stuck Motion on um for the pack up for the first song for the pack up at the end of the list because I knew what it looks like. And I was like, okay, so the kids have all gone by this point. The adults are trying to pack up and they're going to think that the TV is glitching and it's hilarious. And I did that. And the amount of innocent little old ladies who came up to me and they were like, the TVs couldn't handle how many videos we played. It's glitching. And so I did this thing of like tapping on the TV and pretending to try and fix it because I knew when in the video it starts to look normal. So I'm tapping, I'm like, hold on just a sec, tapping it, and it starts to look slightly normal. Hilarious. It's my favorite prank of all time. And that's what I'm saying about songs take on their own meaning or videos and stuff because motion is not a silly song, but for me,
Mhm.
the video is because I've been able to get away with that prank so many times. So yeah.
That's funny. That's evil, but it's funny.
It might be, but honestly, I feel like it's what Luke would want. He seems like a pranky sort of guy.
He does, he does.
Yeah. So switching from a large name and a large album to small name, small album. So clearly he heard what his fans were saying. Boy, with 7 tracks.
Yeah, you can't get much of a shorter album title than that, can you? 3 letters. Can't get much
Yeah,
shorter than that.
no, you
I
really can't.
I really, really love Garden Life. I think it's so romantic. I just think it's so sweet and it's just I can't explain it. There's not many romantic songs in the world that I enjoy as deeply as Garden Life because there's something so like mundane about it. Something so kind of like almost plain
Hmm.
in a way that it's describing something so simply that you just get it. It immediately clicks that this is about the love of his life, and it's immediately just how in love he is and how peaceful life is with this person. And it's just so romantic, and it does it so well without being cheesy or overdramatic or too like in your face because it's there's not really any I love yous in it, but there's a lot of kind of tiptoeing around it, just saying how much he does love this person without the song being like, I love you, you're so pretty, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. because that just kind of cringes me out a little bit. But
Mm,
Garden Life, it has a really good way of just being so, oh, to be loved like that. Just to be
yes.
loved the way that he loves Sierra is just so, oh, it's everything.
Yeah. And that's the thing is he doesn't say I love you, but he's like, it's a garden life and he sort of talks about this life they've built and they talk about forever. And there's also no questions about who it's about because every time you see a photo of Luke and Sierra, it's in the garden. I mean, even when they announced that they were parents, it was in the garden. The garden that he posted videos of him building for his wife. Like, it's just because of the very small glimpse we've had into their relationship and so much of it being in that garden, it makes the song mean so much more because you know that that's their sacred space. That's where
Mhm.
they live. And I agree, it's so much more deep and meaningful than just saying like I love you over and over again. Um, so yes, that one also really stands out for me. Yeah. And I think that Luke and Sarah are absolute like couple goals.
Stunning. They are absolutely stunning. Luke and Sierra, lovely
Yeah.
couple. Stunning. The way they talk
Yes.
about each other. And they have a little baby now. It's so cute.
I know. And like honestly, and the fact that Sarah has been featured in a lot of music as well is something that is so cute. Like,
Hmm.
because it's not loud and in your face, it's just casually as a producer. And you just you just know between Garden Life and between the songs that she's produced and written with him that the that it's so private but it's so deep and like yeah. Benny's really cute in the fact that he managed to talk about his brothers. Because again, he Luke is it's really weird in the way that the band works because I would say Luke is probably the most private. Like you don't really know what's going on in his life, and yet most people would expect that to be Callum because he's so quiet. And yet
Hmm.
you do see a lot of Callum with his family. You don't see so much of that with Luke. And so when he lets you in for little moments, like including his brother's names and songs, talking about his wife Sarah, talking about his mum, you kind of stop a bit more because you realize just how important that is to Luke and how kind it is for him to actually share that with us, especially with how invasive some people have been. It's actually a wonder that he does continue to like open up so much and he is so vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because Liz was around a lot in the early days of Five Sauce's career, I think having that insight kind of early on to that relationship when the boys were so small, that having the songs that do reflect on his life now, it makes you feel a little bit more kind of connected to the songs because you're like, oh, I am aware of these people that he's singing
Mm,
about. It's not that you need that kind of parasocial interaction there, but I think it helps understand. Like you can visualize the woman he is singing about when he sings about mum, and we know what Ben looks like, so we can see what he's singing about when he's singing Benny. Same with Sierra. We know her, we know her impact on his life, and we know the shared vocals and writing and all this stuff, so that when it is written and it's sung out loud, you can see the people he's singing about and you can see how important it is and how long they have been in his life.
mm,
It just makes it so comforting in a way because I like to kind of put myself in their shoes when I listen to songs. I don't really know how because I don't know their lives, but I if I don't obviously know who a song is about, like you see the title track Mum, you know, but it's I like to kind of go, oh, this is really romantic. This must be about Sierra.
mm,
And then you kind of like you do sit there and you kind of swirl all of the posts you have seen about them and the announcements that they had about, the wedding and the engagement and the baby, and you're just like, "Oh, no, it has actually been a really cute relationship. This is so sweet." And to hear it through
Yeah,
another perspective and through another lens is just, it just makes it so much cuter.
exactly. And it's especially like as someone who has been there for the majority of the journey of the band, of the solo eras, knowing how at one point we didn't think we'd have this. Like we
Hmm.
didn't, we just didn't. And then now seeing that he's got everything that his younger self was singing about wanting in the band, it's that also is such a beautiful moment where, because he's got the albums about things he's had to face, and because he's got the album about like progressing through life and all of its challenges and all of the hardest moments, when you have a moment like Garden Life and you're like, no, despite all of the deep stuff he's talked about, he's sung about, he's made it.
Hmm.
Like that, it really is a moment of celebration of like, okay, we've watched this journey and we've wanted to just protect him and we've wanted him to just like live his happiest life, and he is. So,
Yeah, there's been a few periods in the fandom where it's been a bit rocky. Um, I do think that to have songs that are so loudly romantic, and I just love Garden Life so much, but to have songs like that, um, after seeing previous things that have happened,
mm,
it makes it all worthwhile, even as just like an onlooker. I'm just like, I'm so proud of you for coming out the other side of that and for finding someone that loves you and for finding it within yourself to love someone else as well that much. It's like, I've been here forever. I've watched that man grow up. I've watched the whole band grow up. To watch them go from teens into young adults where we all go through horrible relationships and infidelities and heartbreaks and God knows what, to then come out the other side of all of that and have a wife and a child and to like really have your like home base and your strength and like the reason to like do what you do and the reason to stay alive and the reason to be so passionate and just it just is so lovely to see.
yeah. One thing I mentioned to someone else, I can't remember who and I can't remember when, but it was around about the time that Boy came out. I said if I ever met Luke, one thing I would say to him is I watched a light come back in his eyes and I watched his songs get more peaceful, more romantic, and realized that that could happen for me too. Like
Mhm.
this is a boy who has been very hurt, very I've just realized the pun there. You know, Luke's been very hurt. Luke's been through a lot, and to slowly watch as he lights up again on stage, as he's having the time of his life on stage, singing these songs, as the songs are getting less sad, like that is something that you really are like, wow, it's changed. He's done it. So yeah.
Yeah, it is very sweet. It's like this pivotal final point that you're like, that is everything you've ever worked towards. And like you said, it's like you can strive for it now yourself because like if someone else can go through all of that and experience it in the spotlight as well,
Mm,
and to have thousands of people watching it all happen must be insane to be able to come out the other side of that and have this like final end goal that you've actually achieved. To also have the same thousands of people who are watching all of this happen, to just see that all and go, yeah, if he can do it, I can do it. If that can happen to him and he can go through all of that and he can make it out the other side and he can make it all worthwhile, there is no reason that I can't do the same with
yeah.
way less pressure.
Yeah. And not to throw shade at anyone here because this is not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to explain the situation. All of the boys with their solo projects and all of the boys in this band, there is a parallel that you can look at. And it is a wonder that these boys in the Five Sauce Band have actually kept so level-headed, so connected with their family, that they haven't become arrogant assholes, that they haven't become so disconnected with their fans, so disconnected with their own identity and their own sound. The fact that they've been able to explore every little part of themselves and still keep so connected with the why. Like the why is still there. The why is the most important thing. And that's what makes their solo music and when they come back together as a band so strong, is because it's always the authenticity, the why, the how, the entire process, as opposed to let's just keep pushing things out because that's the expected thing.
Yeah, and I do think, like you say about the connection with the fans, like I've met all of them quite a lot. Luke and Michael a lot less than Callum and Ashton, but even in the smaller moments that I've had with Luke, he's been nothing but an absolute sweetheart. He has always, and obviously I'm never going to talk on anyone else's experience. I don't know, but I'm only ever going to talk on mine. He's always been so lovely to me. He's always greeted me with a smile. Even the last time I saw him, I looked at, he's already tall. I'm tall. I'm 5'9". And I'm already having to go, hey, to him. But this time it was a particularly, hey. And I said to him, I was like, you're taller than I remember. And all he did was lean down, pick up his like foot by his hand and was like, yeah, look. And showed me his like massive platform shoes. And even in that moment, I was like, that's not something like your average like stuck up celebrity does. They just go, yeah, okay. Like he kind of made a little bit of a joke about it, and I was like, ah, yeah, funny. Um, but like just having those like kind of personal interactions that are more than just yeah, whatever, I'll take a photo, yeah, I'll sign that thing. Yeah, it's good to see you too. Like with Luke, he's always asked, he's been like, you all right? How's it going? Whatever. He's just kind of made the effort to, like you say, connect. And to him, it may not mean as much as it does to me as a fan, but as a fan, it is really lovely to have those interactions and to see kind of a more personal side, even if it is just him being like, haha, look at my shoes. Like,
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that one thing I see a lot, especially because of where I live and the area of music that I promote quite a bit, is when Kiwis and Aussies first start out, they have this like they promote themselves in the way of, oh, it's just your cousin, right? Like it's just that weird bogan next door who makes a bit of music. It's just your cousin who is a little bit loud. You sort of start to see that change the second that they see like true fame outside of like the Australasian circle of music. And yes, you have seen that because they've promoted some albums and some projects where it doesn't even reach New Zealand, or like they'll do a little Australian thing but not reach New Zealand. And yet each of the boys have kept so like bogan cousin next door in the way that they work. I mean, Luke, you see that with how family orientated he is. Ashton, you see that with like he's making music, but I swear afterwards he's going and walking down the streets with no shoes. And you know, Callum's kept that up with like his family as well and the way that he presents himself. And Michael's kept that out because you've always known who Michael is. He's not going to try
mhm,
and like put on a character. None of them are. Like even within like their characters that they do play, or any little project they do where they sort of like try and portray a certain image, it's still there. It's still right there, just like in the corner of like we're just these Aussie boys next door. And I think that is so like special to bring, of that, you know, their sound might change, but they don't. That's what I said earlier is really how I feel, is that they've never forgotten the why. And that's
mhm.
always Like that's something that's really important as a creative of any kind is the second you forget what message you're trying to put out into the world, the second you forget what made you start doing your art in the first place, you're gone. You can't
Hmm.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think it's been obvious from day one that Luke was always going to be the front man
Yeah.
because he's got that look about him. He's just got that like stardom, that popular boy kind of esque, but he is so like down to earth and genuinely so just laid back and chill and chatty and lovely that like it almost doesn't add up that you look at someone who looks like him and has the
Yeah.
fame he has and has, this just this X factor, I guess, is what is a way that you could explain it. It's like he's just got this aura about him that makes him such a big personality that you'd almost expect him to be like really intimidating and arrogant and like I'm better than you and turns his nose up, but he never ever does and he is genuinely so humble about everything. And I think it is really sweet to see that even when they go on tours and they maybe don't hit a country here and there, or they're always making a point to shout out where they're from and their roots. And even when they do, the rollouts like we saw last year, they hit Australia, they hit the UK, and they hit America because
Yeah.
that is where they have the most popularity. They're always going to go back to Australia because that's their home. They're always going to do something in the UK because London is like their most listened to place for some
Mm.
reason. I mean, yeah, as it should be. Us Brits love some Australians, so the UK is always going to get hit, and LA is always going to get hit because that's where they live and that's where their current families are. But
Yeah.
you can always, always rely on them shouting out their roots and going back home.
Yeah, and just like to touch on something you said as well, that's what's been so funny this era is he's got the big spikes and his character that he's supposed to play is like this I'm better than everyone character. But it's so funny because even in all of the little Daily Source videos where he's acting like a proper diva, like even at the end of the video, he has to like clarify that that's not truly how he feels. You know,
Hmm.
like he'll do like this arrogant like personality thing, and then immediately he'll laugh and he'll be like, "That's not me. I'm sorry," and that's so funny and sweet because it's like we know that, Luke. You don't need to apologize because you can barely hold your face as you're saying that. We know, but he's just such like a kind, gentle boy who just wants everyone to know that like he's not trying to hurt anyone.
Hmm.
Like, there have been times where he's apologized to fandoms because someone's just quite honestly got to stick up their ass and has to cause a problem for the sake of causing a problem. And he's apologizing. It's like, that's not your fault. Like, and that's what I think has like really kept me in this fan space is despite the fact that some of the actual fans are absolute pooheads, the boys are just so kind and loving and honest and real that some of these other stars who are getting bigger and bigger, you can't stay and listen to them because it becomes so performative. But yet,
Hmm.
even with the like performative characters, you can see the real them. And I love that. That's been this week's episode of Mo on the Mic. Have a groovy week.